I gave him earlier time, too early.
Oh, okay.
8 a.m. Filipino time. So in 13 minutes. Okay, do you want to go do something else first?
Sure.
All right, welcome everyone. Today we're going to go over some flowcharts of Samkyha philosophy so we can put all these terms together and see how they relate to each other. So the philosophy that has made it through thousands of years is really quite interesting because of how much detail it goes into consciousness and the workings of the mind. And the more that I read about philosophy, that's really what I feel like they are good at, is understanding the mind and how consciousness works. So this is just some of the terms. I feel like these are the main ones, and also terms that have to do with the yoga practice. But you can certainly add other terms to your flowchart. So what I thought I would do is go through what I have here in this list. And there's more than one way to do this, I feel like. And I'm just going to show you one way right now. Okay? So are you ready? Okay. So Samkhya philosophy. At the very top usually is Brahman and Atman, because that's the beginning of everything. Brahman is the supreme being or God, and then Atman is each individual soul or us, individual spirit. So what happens is Brahman, who is also, I put these parentheses here because you can fill in like a 1 or 2 word definitions on what these are. So for example, Brahman we could call that one the creator. That, oh, I don't know what that is. Anyway, that's so the creator. And then this Atman could be um, spirits or individuals. Okay. Or you could have your own definition from your reading or whatever makes sense to you. And then Purusha is our spirit body. And that's what I'm going to call it. And then Prakriti is the physical body. Oh, where is this? Where are you? How do I get in there? How to do it. Oh, there it is. So this is our physical body. Okay, so when you put that together, sorry, this is superfluous. We don't need that. When you put the physical body, sorry about that. I don't know where that came from. Purusha plus Prakriti, you put that together and you have life as we know it. But it's not just us. Prakriti also refers to animals and plants and earth. So everything that is manifest as creation that was from the creator. All right, so this is where we start. And so what happens when we put Purusha and Prakriti together is we have earth life, right? Life as we know it. And because of the experience of or mortality, because it's an imperfect world, we are somewhat detached or veiled from our Atma, our source. This is another term we can use for Brahman, is the source. Because we're somewhat veiled from that other reality, we develop samskaras, or just as a consequence of life, we develop samskaras, which are our mental habits or beliefs, good or bad, right or wrong. And there's samskaras, we have these terms, and they are two sets of opposites. So viveka is, just make sure I have the right word here, is discernment. So the ability to recognize truth, or like that innate sense of truth that we all have. An opposite to that is avidya, which is, let's see what term I used here, spiritual ignorance, or the lack of understanding of our deeper realities. And then the other two opposites are sukha, which is lightness or light. Just put light. And the opposite of that is dukkha, which is darkness or dark. Okay. All right. So because of these samskaras, we can have both. Some things we're good at. Some things maybe we don't know. And that's normal for all of us. We have some light, we may have some darkness. So how does the rest of this fit in? So let's go to our list here. Gunas. What does that refer to? That refers to the three qualities of Prakriti. So we have, this is what Prakriti, three qualities. Sorry, it's messy a little bit. Which is, have my cheat sheet here. Or the natural world. We have tamas, which is heaviness. And that describes more than just weight. It describes like mental heaviness, like if you feel heavy, you feel weighed down. It could kind of refer to depression, because that's the feeling of depression is heavy, or it could be your body is sluggish, maybe due to diet or lack of movement. So this is one quality. And then the other two, one is rajas, which is restlessness. And then the other one is sattva, which is purity. And then if you were to talk about Ayurvedic principles, those would also be part of Ayurveda. So there's tamasic food, rajasic food, and sattvic food. And I am not well versed in that, but I just want you to be aware that that's out there, and you might hear about it in the yoga world. So that's what, yeah, Ayurveda.
Before I'm following my diet based on the gunas.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
In
Yeah.
Sattva, you cannot even eat onions and garlic.
Because they're
Those are Rajasic food, yeah.
yeah, yeah. They
So
are
it
have
excites
fire.
your mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before I follow that, tamasic is basically all the meat.
Oh, right. Makes sense. That makes sense. So sattva, would that be more like vegetables, fruits, or
Fruits. Except the mushroom, except the onions and
garlic?
garlic.
Ginger? Is ginger in there somewhere?
Yeah, it's okay. The ginger is okay.
Ginger is okay. Yeah. So, I don't have background in Ayurveda, but if that's something that's interesting to you, you certainly could explore that.
Very hard to observe that.
Yeah, as far as the diet goes, yeah.
Yeah. And also the time. What time do you
Time
eat?
of day. Yeah.
Yeah, of the day. Yeah, there is a specific time.
Right, time of day when you eat, time of day when you exercise, time of day when you sleep.
Anyway, I lost a lot of weight then.
Oh,
I
interesting.
lost more than 50 pounds. Huh?
Oh my goodness. You don't even have 50 pounds to lose.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's next? Guna's chitta. Chitta has to do with the mind, and so does the vrittis. So as part of our mortal experience, I don't know where to put this. Let's see, Purusha and Prakriti. So here, because of that, we could say here, to describe this union, we have the qualities of the mind. Chitta is mind. So I have an interesting theory about the mind and Purusha, right? Or brain and mind. So brain would be the Prakriti, the physical component. Mind would be the Purusha, or that part that moves through the mind. So my idea is that we are spiritual beings. I think we all can accept that pretty easily without any stress over it. I feel like the thoughts and inspiration and the understanding and insight come from the spirit, but they move through the brain so that we can act on it, or so we can ponder or learn. But the brain is actually just a receptor. So when they say, I have trouble when they say, oh, your thoughts are in your brain. I have trouble with that because physiologically, the brain is just a conduit for electrical impulses. So certain functions are in different parts of the brain, but there's research that shows even the brain can change. Like if one part of your brain is injured, other parts of the brain can compensate.
Yeah, they call it the neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity, right. So the brain is not rigid as far as structure goes, structure and function. So I feel like it still bends to the influence of the spirit or your will or volition, your your force, right? Your life force or your desire. So that's my theory anyway. So chitta, mind, meaning that spiritual part of us, has vrittis, which are those fluctuations of the mind. And those are right here. Where are they? Vrittis, there's 5 of them. Maybe I'll let you find those and then define them. What are they? Okay, I won't fill that in. I'm just trying to give you kind of an idea of what I'm hoping you'll do with your flowchart. And it can be more organized than this. This is just because of the tools that are available here. So where does yoga fit into that? I want to ask you that. Where do you think?
Isn't it that in the second sutra of Patanjali, it's about the chitta and the vritti?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yoga chitta vritti nirodha,
You
right?
uh,
So yoga
fitness,
is
you control the fluctuations of the mind. Yeah.
right to not identify with the fluctuations of the mind. So in other words, that's not your identity. Those are just things that pass, that come and go. We entertain some of them and we repeat some of them over and over again. That's what the samskaras are. So what's the role of, let's say, Kriya Yoga, this one here, which is, remember what those are? There's 3 of them. there's let's see, make sure I have it right. Kriya Yoga is Jnana. I don't know. Hold on.
Bhakti, yeah, that part.
Kriya Yoga is, Tapas, Svadhyaya, and Ishvara Pranidhana. So that's Tapas, which is fire or effort. Svadhyaya
Body,
is self-study,
yeah.
right? You guys follow so far? And Ishvara Pranidhana, which is devotion to God or right action. Okay, so how does, let's take that for an example. How does Kriya Yoga fit into this so far? So if the objective of yoga is to not identify with the fluctuations of the mind here, what do we want to identify with? Or why are we trying to do that? What does it do to us when we are too attached to the vrittis, to the fluctuations of the mind?
Yeah.
Yes, thought-provoking, right? So I would suggest that yoga, Kriya Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga is to help us with the samskaras. That's how I see it. So for example, because the samskaras keep us stuck. But what we want to do, right, is we want to bring union between the Purusha and the Prakriti. And we want to be able to operate with that knowledge that we are also spirit. And that our Atman came from Brahman, that there's higher reality. So it's our samskaras that can keep us from that, because we get stuck in a mortal way of living. So the yoga can help us out of that. So here I'm going to put yoga here. Helps us to address the samskaras, to recognize them, to correct them, to refine not just our mind, but our bodies, and to give us a way of relating to the Prakriti in a wholesome, healthy way. Right? There's different ways that we can treat our bodies. So yoga kind of helps us understand a better way to treat our body and honor our spirit at the same time. Am I making sense, guys?
Mhm.
Yeah? Kyle, I see that you're thinking a lot. You're thinking a lot.
I bit left and right my screen because of I can enlarge it.
Oh, yeah. So whatever yoga you want to put here, it can be Kriya Yoga, it can be Ashtanga Yoga. So here's the other one. They are hopefully, what we're trying to do is clean up our samskaras, recognize, for example, our spiritual ignorance, to bring in more light, to learn how to handle the darkness, because inevitably darkness comes. So how do we handle that? These are the things that a yoga practice, and in its different forms, can help us be good at or become skilled at. So kleshas, I remember, what are kleshas?
Those are the sufferings.
Sufferings, right. So as a result of, again, samskaras, that brings suffering. Samskaras bring suffering.
Number one is the fear of death. Yeah.
Oh, fear.
Totality.
Fear in
Yeah, the
general.
fear.
Yeah.
So to compensate for that, we tend to be so seeking always pleasure, stuff like that.
Okay, good. So you have these ideas. Great. So that's
Yeah, it was in the book of in the book
part of
of
yoga.
no, no, Iyengar. He's got this book about his introduction to the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali.
Oh, okay, good. So that's the kind of ideas that I would like you to put in your flowchart. Okay? So samskaras here, kleshas right here, I'm having trouble putting that in, but that would be like a result of samskaras or just as a result of earth life. You kind of can put your own spin on that, depending on how you see it. And so then what about these koshas, chakras, vayus, nadi lines, and bandhas? These are modalities that acknowledge that we have two layers, or we have deeper subtle body
Yeah,
to our
layers of
existence,
the first.
right? It educates us. These ideas educate us in our energetic body, our spirit body, our physical body. We come to understand that there are different layers to our existence. We learn how to work with them. We learn how to balance the chakras, and we learn how to work with the vayus, the different lines of energy and force. And the nadi lines is all the different chemical um, energy that's going in our body and all at once. It's a universe. And then the bandhas, how to control through the center from within. So it gives us a deep understanding of how to work with our with our prakriti, while also acknowledging that we have a subtle body, that we have energetic body. So that's relates, I think, to the practice of yoga, but also outside of it. Because, for example, the chakras have a psychosocial element that that is helpful for us to think about. Okay.
Don't you think, Amy, that is really that runs opposite the Christian dogma?
I think it's
That
not
to that
opposite.
to salvation is through Jesus Christ. And
Yes.
that's why the Catholics or the Christians have problems with that. It's because
Mm.
you can do it, you can find your salvation
Hmm.
by yourself, observing the, the
I don't
ways.
think you can find salvation necessarily. I think you can get skillful at life, but
If
not
you are
necessarily
good,
salvation.
yeah, yeah, but
Yeah.
eventually, eventually,
I mean, for
but if
example, for example, there's one element that's very much in opposition between Hinduism. So now you're talking about Hinduism
in a way, because
and
that is also
Christianity.
the Hindu philosophy, yeah.
And Christianity, yeah, Samkhya philosophy is at the foundation of Hinduism, but we're looking at it in terms of yoga. We're not looking at it in terms of multiple gods or afterlife, because Hinduism believes in reincarnation, which I do not. I believe that we are individual spirits and our identity is unique, that we each are a unique spirit, a unique identity, and that's what we take with us after this life. But it is of necessity that we have a savior. We have a savior that saves us from death, by the resurrection, and from sin when we have faith in Jesus Christ and repent and want to change. So I feel like this instrument of change, as far as the yoga itself goes, acting on samskaras, is a useful tool to help Christian people, to help them recognize what their faults are, for example, or what their negative thinking patterns are. And I feel like it's very valuable to understand how to work with our body and our energetic body. So it's not full. The Samkhya philosophy doesn't answer everything. It's just a useful tool to get skilled at life. And if you have the foundation of Christianity, then it's like a powerhouse. That's like
Oh,
a powerhouse. That's like super powerful because now you've really dialed in the truth to how
oh,
you live. So, and I don't know if you've heard that there's a lot of similarities between Krishna and Jesus Christ.
yeah.
And there's even belief that Jesus Christ spent time in India.
Yeah. I
And
should have learned this before. I had a very strong argument with a Jesuit priest
oh, yeah.
because you are arguing from a believer,
Hmm.
from a Christian perspective. I was not arguing from a Christian because I don't consider myself Christian. So I was only talking about it in the
You know what?
from an
You don't,
other perspective. Yeah.
I think it's interesting that you don't consider yourself Christian, but you act very Christian.
Yeah, I'm rejecting the idea of Jesus Christ. That is one thing I do reject.
You
But
reject
the idea
Jesus
behind
Christ?
this, yeah, he's not a savior to me. He's just a man.
Oh,
So your argument is from the perspective of a Christian believer. So it's good if I just know that I could have argued well with the Jesuit. He's a
oh,
priest
yeah.
because I was arguing not only from a non-sectarian, also from the psychological aspect of the concept of sin. And
Mm,
I'm telling him, psychology rejects the idea of sin.
mm.
So, so those are the things that I'm arguing from that. If I know this, I could have done a better job in arguing with that
Oh,
priest.
well, I don't know. I don't know if I want to encourage you to argue against Jesus Christ.
Um, no, I'm not arguing. I'm not using him as a way of justifying beliefs because I'm
Mm,
arguing from the perspective of psychology, from the perspective of philosophy, not from a Christian perspective. So
yeah.
that's a bit different. Yeah.
Well, I I feel like yoga is a tool that Christians can
Yeah,
use very, very well. And
they
it,
can. They need
yeah,
that. I think they need it
very,
more.
very
Because their dogma is so sometimes so fundamental and so narrow-minded
hmm
that they reject everything outside that spectrum of their.
hmm.
So they're limited to their dogmas.
Yeah, and I think that has to do with, so the book that I'm reading that I showed you the other day is called The Second Coming of Jesus Christ. And it's called the second coming, not because it's referring to when he actually comes back to earth, but when he comes into each of the individual, when he comes to your heart. So his second coming is inside of us. And I feel like if you have that, you can go anywhere. It's not, you can be Catholic, you can be Protestant, you can be Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saint like me, you can be any other, you know, denomination, born again Christian, if you have that Christ inside of you. And there is a belief system that eventually all of these roads will lead to one, that everything will come together. And there's also the reality that Jesus Christ did go, if he did go to India, which I don't see why he couldn't have, because there was time. You know, he didn't start his ministry until he was 30. So he had this time to travel. And there are stories from India that sound very much like him. Healing and certain teachings. So, and also as I've read different writings on Hindu philosophy, I see where they might have gotten off track. Like when they talk about being born again, I feel like being born again meaning reincarnation. I feel like that was a misunderstanding. Just by the way that they describe it, because it kind of is reminiscent of what Jesus said, that we have to be born again of the Spirit. I feel like maybe they took it too literal, but that's just my idea. So anyway, we're off track. So, how about you, Kyla? Any thoughts on this?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Do you feel like you kind of understand, both of you, Kyla and Manny, you kind of understand what I'm hoping that you'll do with this
Yeah,
project? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I do understand what we're supposed to do,
Okay,
but
good.
yeah.
So I'm going to stop this
Because
now.
if we make the flow chart,
Uh-huh.
we will have a bigger, we have a macro view of what yoga is all about, instead of just focusing. Because you know what, this is good because we're more focused on the asana practice of yoga, but we
Mm-hmm.
don't know where it should lead to or where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
So this one will give us a wider perspective
Mm-hmm.
on what
Yeah.
yoga is all about.
Yep. Yep.
And in a way, in our teaching, in our classes, we can insert, portions of that so that they will have some kind of understanding. Why do we ask them to be mindful? Why do we ask them
Right. You have
to
a frame of reference.
decide?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we can use some of the wisdom of the philosophy to inject to them that there are bigger things that you are doing more than the asanas.
Mm-hmm.
And you can use this as a tool to improve your life, which is basically the samskara.
Right. And to be okay with examining yourself.
Yeah,
I think that's a big thing. It's to be comfortable enough to examine yourself. And I feel like that's actually in my own spiritual life. That's where Jesus Christ comes in, because he is unconditional love. That's how it, to me, it fits in. I can look at myself and I can admit my mistakes, because I know that I want to change, and I know that through his love I can. Right? We don't have to be we're not condemned as if we're trying to improve and trying to change and trying to learn. So good. Okay, so let me share one more. I'm going to just show you another option. So this one is from one of my students. I showed you the paper version of it the other day. So this is how she did it. Katie Holland is her name. So here's Samkyha Philosophy. The universe was created through Purusha and Prakriti, and they are eternal. So Brahman and Atman, yoga is in her flowchart, is the union between these two, the supreme spirit and it tells us the awareness of our true self. Okay, good. And then Atman is expressed as Purusha and in Prakriti. Okay, so she connects this, all matter. And then Prakriti has these three qualities. And then the Purusha, or the mind, so here she calls Purusha the mind, or relates Purusha to the mind. Emotional mind, condition of human being. Conditions of Chitta, there's the Vrittis right here. More conditions of Chitta is avidya. These are the negative sort of things of, the consciousness. Ego, desire for pleasure, rejection of the unpleasant, and fear. You were talking about that earlier. Mani, fear is right here.
Yes, fear of death. That's more the fear of death. Yeah, mortality.
Right. And then here, the avidya, we act on the avidya with the kriya yoga and the samskaras. That's how she put it. Kriya yoga helps us overcome avidya and samskaras, which helps us see, here's this big arrow, which helps us to come back to Atman, or to realize our true self. Kriya yoga brings awareness of the Atman right here. Okay, so that's one example. All right. So that's it for my lecture. I think it would be good for us to practice now, unless you guys have any more questions.
Yeah. Can I pass on the practice? I only have 2 hours of sleep. Uh,
Oh yeah, sure.
yeah, because of
Do you want
something
to
is.
just do a meditation? Maybe let's just do a 10-minute meditation.
You ask. Uh, let's ask
Kyla?
Kyla what first. Yeah.
Or if you want, I can do meditation with both of you, and then you can go and I can do practice with Kyla.
We could do the meditation. My mind. I feel like I have a lot of stuff to do.
Okay, that sounds good. Let's do that.
It's
All
just
right,
because
so
my room feels very messy. So it's kind of feel like
clutters,
that's
clutters.
why
Yeah.
I look like I'm thinking a lot. So I'm thinking about, oh, this needs to go here, and I
Oh.
need to how many trips take all the stuff out of my room that needs to get out. So I think
Yeah, that makes
meditation would be nice, and then I'll practice cleaning.
okay, sounds good. So why don't you let's do like a 10-minute meditation together? Yeah.
One thing I thought the thing that I was trying to say that wasn't it was yoga nidra. That was the thing we had talked about once.
Yeah.
That was not so I was like, what is the other word for like guided meditation, but it's not guided meditation. That's
Yeah,
what I was
it's
trying to say.
yoga nidra. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. And then when we saw the flow chart, I was like, that's it. That's exactly what I was trying to say. I knew
Okay.
it at the end, but I didn't know the word.
Yeah, you can put that in your flowchart, like where you see that it fits. So that would be good. Okay. So do you want to, you can, maybe you pick, you want to sit or lay down, whatever position you want to be in. And we'll go ahead. Right? We're ready to meditate?
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead and get comfortable.
I'm gonna say
And I'm going to mute you just so there's no background noise. So take a moment to sit up nice and tall, close your eyes. If you are uncomfortable sitting and you need to get into a different position, that's perfectly fine. But just drop into your breath. So feel the inhalation, the exhalation. And notice how this affects your body as well. So we acknowledge the qualities of the mind and become curious about our own mental workings with a heart of compassion for the self. We give ourselves permission to be present with your mind, with whatever is going on inside of you, without judging, without engaging, without changing it, just being present with what is inside of you. And you may find that as you acknowledge and accept whatever is in your mind, that they more easily melt away. They become light, like a cloud, and you can almost blow them away from your consciousness or just to another place in your mind where they become less powerful, less ominous, because your focus is on being you, being present, on the experience of being as opposed to doing or striving or going. just being in this moment. And when thoughts do come to your mind, you can continue to be curious. And maybe you do want to engage, but without judging. Sort of like if you have an interesting object, maybe like a prism, and you're holding that object in your hands and you want to look at it from different angles. It's that awareness. And we can do that with maybe our concerns or our problems that we need to solve, or maybe lessons we need to learn, new situations that we need to understand. Life often has surprises for us. So being able to just be present and allow maybe wisdom, insight to come to you. Just having that open mind. And then also feel free, if you've wandered off, to come back to the breath. And maybe the present moment becomes even richer, more meaningful, deeper, because you've been somewhere else. You come back to the present moment, taking that, whatever tangent you've taken, bringing back with you whatever you've gained from that tangent. And our emotions are always helpful. Thoughts often carry emotions attached to them. And being able to recognize those emotions as well in a more neutral way, just to give us information, help us learn about ourselves more and understand ourselves better, understand our own fears, our own dreams, our own hopes, our own concerns. And if it's helpful, maybe imagine that you have a filing cabinet in your mind. So you can categorize whatever comes up for you. Maybe even prioritize. And also, it's okay to not know everything. It's okay to not understand everything. We can still be at peace. We can still enjoy each moment of life by being present with your whole mind, your whole heart, your whole being, giving your best to every moment. For the next few moments, acknowledge that Atman inside of you, that drop of divine or drop of divinity, seed of divinity in your soul. It gives fruit to all the good things that you do, service that you give to others, love and care that you give to others, how you care for yourself, how you care for our Mother Earth. So seeing yourself as part of this beautiful creation. To which you are both master and servant. So remember, you are a mini universe. You carry the lessons of universe within you. Truth resides within you. You are of eternal and infinite worth. So take this feeling of richness, of santosha, satisfaction, contentment with you as you go back into your day, your evening. Let's take 3 releasing breaths together, sighing it out on the exhale. So take a big inhalation and exhale, sigh it out. Big inhalation. Exhale, sigh it out. And one more big inhalation. Exhale, sigh it out. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. I bid you peace. Thank you for being with me today. Namaste. All right, you guys. How you're welcome. So we will see you next week. Let me know if you have questions as you... Oh, unmute yourself, Manny. Unmute, Manny. You're muted.
When is the deadline for the
So,
flowchart?
do you want me to give you a deadline for the final project? I mean, you have from now until the end of the month, until April, end of the month. Because whenever you
Yep.
finish it, then that's when I give you your certificate. And then
Okay.
you can register with Yoga Alliance. So hopefully you'll get it done by the end of April. It's best to do that because then
Yeah.
it doesn't get pushed aside and forgotten. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so just let me know if you have questions anytime. Message me. I'm happy to chat too with you individually. Okay?
Maybe we can make a draft first for your
For me to take a look at it? Sure.
review or
Sure.
review corrections, and then
I'm happy to
after
do
that
that.
we
Finalize. Okay? Sounds good. Whatever help you need, I'm happy to help.
okay.
All right.
Thank you.
See you. You're welcome. Take care now. Bye.